Okay, I think that's about the top of the hour, so I'll get going here. Uh, okay, welcome back, everyone. Tonight we are going to be doing more work on the material design in XAML library. So, if anyone has questions or feedback on what they'd like to see, I am always open to answering people's questions because those are usually more important than whatever I think I want to work on. So real quick, just wanted to give an update on the state of where the library is at. So the 2.6.0 release of the library went out last week, and based on the feedback I've seen so far, I have some documentation that needs to be written. Specifically around all of the theming API. So for people who watch my past videos, I know I've gone over some of them that cover the changes to that. So if you are curious as to what goes into needing to update your app, I was considering removing those obsolete methods in the 3.0 release. I don't know if that's going to happen, just based upon seeing several people struggle with just the obsolete ones. I'm not sure a full breaking change is ready. Maybe a 2.6.1 release or a 2.6.2 release with a couple bug fixes. I'm still toying with those. But what's more pressing on me at the moment is doing the 3.0 release, specifically with .NET Core 3.0 support or .NET 5, depending on which name you like better. So there is a pull request that's sitting out there right now, and that was probably where I wanted to start with this, because that is sort of the biggest item that I see as wanting to go ahead and get it in. Let me switch screens here real quick, and there is a couple things I wanted to show. So first of all, for anyone who wants to go back and I guess search my videos, I've run into this problem a lot where I've had people ask questions where I know I've talked about it on stream, and then me not being able to remember exactly which video it was in or where it was at. So over the weekend I decided to fix that problem because I could, and so if we go to subtitles.ketokaboo.com, for those people who haven't noticed, this is a domain that I purchased, and so I've been just registering up all kinds of subdomains with easy links for myself. But if you go to this one, and I will drop that link in chat as well for people, that guy will take you into a GitHub repo, and there's a couple folders in particular. So if you're looking for videos on material design, they're in here. If you're looking for videos where we've worked on the system command line library, they're in here. But in each of these folders are a bunch of markdown files. The dates are the date that the video went out, or the date, I guess the recording date of the video. And then inside of each of these markdown files, if you just fire one up, I downloaded the English subtitles that YouTube generates for me, and then I hyperlinked all of them to the appropriate time in the video. So there's now a text-based way of searching through all these videos and trying to find things. Now I will warn you, Google's detection of my voice is not great, and there's a lot of sort of technical words in here that it messes up on. But overall, I found that this is a nice, quick and easy way that I can hunt through my videos and then find quick hyperlinks. So if you're hunting around for something that you think that you saw in a prior video and you're not sure how to search for it, this seemed like the easiest way to do it. If you are interested in how I went through and generated those files, I left the code for the command line app sitting in here. It uses the system command line library, specifically the strongly typed main method. So it let me combine two of my favorite libraries together. If you want to use this, you are welcome to use it on your own videos or on anyone's videos that are public that you have access to. The key part is it does do OAuth against the Google API, so you will have to go through their docs and generate a token to be able to actually use it. But after that, it'll just OAuth against your YouTube account, and let you download subtitles and convert them to pretty markdown files so you have a way of searching through them. So hopefully if anybody is interested to kind of find things through in my past videos, like I said, this repo is a quick and easy way. I'm using it mostly for myself, but if other people find use out of it, great. All the better. Okay, so back to pull request land, because we were looking for, and I believe it is over here. Let's just bring this guy over. So we'll just bring this guy into view and pull requests and .NET Core 3.0 support. So this one here is the primary pull request that I was planning on working on. Again, if people have questions or there's examples that they want to see on stuff, I am happy to divert and answer questions. But the .NET Core 3 support was, I guess, the next big feature that I was wanting to get into the library, especially in the preview packages, so that people who are wanting to target .NET Core can do so. So Jespersh, I apologize if you are watching the stream. I'm probably butchering your name. Thank you very much. This is when I suggested opening a pull request, this was by far more than I actually expected. This is wonderful work. So thank you, and thank you. There are a couple, so I can answer a couple questions that you had on here. So there's several dependent libraries that need to get addressed. So the two that are in ShowMeTheXaml, I'm the author of this library, so we can fix these. I thought I had fixed some of these preemptively, but the last time I did .NET Core 3.0 work was like Preview 1, Preview 2, so it's been a little while. And there's probably something that needs to be fixed. I may have just fixed the default library. I'm actually aware of, so there's an issue with this library that I ran into while playing with this that I know we're going to need to address. The Rhino mocks, I'm not real concerned with. The only unit test that was using Rhino mocks was just proving that the palette helper could be mocked. And given the big refactor for the 2.6.0 release, I'm not worried about it. I'm more likely to just say, let's ditch those unit tests. They aren't providing a lot of value anyway. Draggables is another interesting one. That one is still actually one of James's libraries. So we will take a look at this. And this one, I believe there is an update for from Microsoft. I might have to poke around a little bit to find what the library is. I believe I will look and find it there, and we might Google for it in a minute. There is a nice article I read on MSDN that showed an upgrade path for going to take your WPF app from .NET Framework to .NET Core. So I suspect, and I recall behaviors being one of the key libraries that you had to update. So. And then, so this is the test that RhinoMock is failing on. Again, I'm not real concerned with it. I think we might just nuke these unit tests altogether and be done with it. As far as the demo, so there's two demos in particular that are worth knowing about. So this is specifically talking about the Ma apps demo. And so this is actually related and yet not related at the same time. So Ma apps in their latest release has made some API changes. Great, fine, we can absorb those. But at the same time, that also means that we're breaking in order to consume those. So we may run into a bit of an issue here and have to bite off a little bit more than just the .NET Core conversion. This one down here, so .NET Build. So he commented that he used Visual Studio and suspect that it's able to do something that .NET Build isn't. And there's a really subtle difference between using .NET Build and compiling within Visual Studio. And the difference is the running process. So Visual Studio is a full, it'll compile with full framework.ms build. And so as such, it has a different runtime when it's actually launched. Most of the time, this subtle difference doesn't matter to you. Unless you're a developer who's building MS Build extensions or build tasks, then it matters. But for most developers, it really doesn't make a difference. But specifically for this ShowMeTheXaml MS Build targets, This is almost assuredly the problem here. Is it'll work from within Visual Studio because there we're talking about a full framework version of MS Build. But on the command line, .NET Build is using the .NET Core runtime, which has a different set of dependencies. So even though the namespaces and everything may line up, it doesn't mean that the exact DLL references are going to be there. So this guy, I suspect, just needs to be updated to support compiling from .NET Core versus .NET Framework. And again, I'm the author. We can get this fixed. So for now, I think tonight we'll just look at compiling from Visual Studio since that's working. And then I know that I just have some to-do work before we can actually merge this in to have it support .NET Build. So that's very similar to this comment here that he ended up having to change. I don't think this change here actually makes that big of a difference. Basically, what's happening here is we don't use Nougat directly to manage our dependencies. We use another library called Packet. So I can never remember the URL for it. So Packet is like Nougat in that it manages your dependencies for you, but it is very much unlike Nougat in that it you have an interface that looks more like this. You go through and write your dependencies file to tell it, hey, here's what I'm looking for. So you can do something and just say, hey, the source for this dependency is going to be Nougat. Here's the Nougat name. You can do specific versions. It's got a lot of different features and that kind of thing. And then it's responsible for going through and dealing with all of those. The reason we're leveraging it over Nougat directly is we've got a couple dependencies that aren't necessarily Nougat sources. So what do I mean by that? So over here, we'll go ahead and look at it. So specifically here, so you'll notice we've got a bunch of Nougat dependencies, which is great. I am noticing that we don't have a version strapped to MAApps, and we probably should. But these are all of the Nougat dependencies that it's going to go out and try and download. The other ones that aren't necessarily Nougat dependencies are these ones here. So we actually have dependencies that are just coming straight from GitHub, where you can point it out and say, okay, go out to this repo at this particular commit hash, download this particular file. So that's one of the advantages of Packet over Nougat. Nougat, you have one source, a Nougat feed. Packet, you can pull from a lot of different sources. And so in this case, we're using it to pull down specific versions of the file. So rather than hosting these ourselves, we're just reaching out to GitHub to pull these down. This has been sort of one of those kind of weird areas because a lot of people are very familiar with Nougat and know how to interact with it. But it also can be a point of confusion in that most people expect to be able to right-click, manage Nougat packages and deal with things that way. So if you're working inside of this library, just be aware of this. It's also worth knowing that we go out of our way in this library to try to avoid taking additional dependencies if we can help it. We don't want a lot of dependencies. We want to try to keep this library as clean as possible. That way we don't break. Most of these dependencies, you will notice, end up being for outside things, such as our XUnit runner. So XUnit runner is only for unit testing, and substitute mock and Rhino mocks, which I thought I saw in here somewhere, yep, are only in the unit test projects. ShowMeTheXaml is only used in our demo project. So the actual library itself has very low dependencies. You'll notice that he also went through and added a Nougat dependency here, though so .NET Core Platforms 3.0, which is in here as well. So you have a top-level packet dependency, and then, again, we could go back and look at this. And then inside each project, it has its own packet.references saying which project goes with this. So, for example, I believe I've included all of these. So there's a couple of files in there that are also controlled by Packet that are not added to the project. This is intentional, just so that people can keep track of which ones are important and which ones are auto-generated. So for example, the actual library itself takes the dependency on C#, data extensions, and then those 3 individual files. So you'll note it's putting them into the control EX folder, so you'll see those file links right there. So Packet just handles all of that for you and makes it nice and easy, which is the reason we're using it. And then consequently, similar, the unit test project, we have a packet reference, and you'll see a whole bunch more of our NuGet packages here. So that is the reason for Packet and where all of this is at. So that was a lot of talking about this pull request. Again, this is really great work. This is a huge leap forward from where we're at, which was nothing. So we can look at the individual file changes, but I'm a little less concerned about actually reviewing the individual file changes as much as going through and getting some of these changed. Now, let's see. So some of these I'll probably go through before the merge and pay a little bit closer attention to, like some of these versions. This is in a demo app, so I'm a little less concerned with the rev there. Because some of these versions we want to make sure that we're still targeting. So, for example, material design themes. The other thing that this does change is it means anybody working inside of the library, once this merges, you are going to be needing to be on Visual Studio 2019, and you are going to need to have the .NET Core 3.0 SDK installed. So again, that'll only apply to people who are trying to compile this library from source. So for people who don't want to do that, there are feeds out there for the demo app and that kind of thing. So if we go through and do this, so one of the nice perks of the new CS Proj format, you can just right-click and edit, as it should be. It's wonderful. I'm going to just close all but this. So we've got a bunch of changes in here, and I don't know how many of these are necessary. So something else that is changing is we have turned off the Git hooks for AppVeyor and are using DevOps exclusively now for our builds. There is a bug in our NuGet service connection that as soon as that gets resolved, I believe we'll have CI builds flowing out of DevOps, which is great. So there'll be nightly builds going out at, I'm trying to remember, I think it's like 3 a.m. UTC or thereabouts. So there will be a nightly build going out every time that there's changes. So anybody who's wanting to pick up those CI builds, you'll see them. I delayed it to once a night because quite often what happens is I get on and I review and merge a bunch of pull requests, and it didn't seem right to have a NuGet package for each merge that I do. So I just set it to once a night, so then when I merge a bunch of pull requests, we can then have a new package the next day. So if that makes it hopefully a little bit easier, and hopefully we don't cause any breakages in the process. So so this AppVeyor target, it's currently being used because the DevOps pipelines, I made them backwards compatible and set it up to point at the exact same target that AppVeyor was doing. There's not actually anything special about this anymore, and we could just go back to doing debug and release, which I'll probably clean up at some point. But for now, it's what's actually in the pipeline, and so we'll leave it and go we'll leave it for now. So these were either put in by Packet or auto-generated. Bunches generated Xaml, which is great. The Packet references is set to none, and we've got resource included for all of the font files. Project reference here. Interesting that that this guy is in here. I don't know what this is, why this would be showing up. Generated internal type helper. I don't know why, I don't know what MS Build task would be causing this. So let's start with this. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to unload a bunch of the projects, and we'll get the base project going first, and then we'll see about bringing more things online. So I'm going to be bad and unload all my unit tests. because ultimately I'm just looking to get this thing compiling and dealing with the dependency issues. So from here, the demo should only be dependent upon Nougat packages and these two projects, the colors directly and the themes directly. And I am curious if, so we don't need these backup files anymore. So there's a very real chance that my app might be in a bad state. A lot of times I found that when switching between branches, especially when there's differences with like the MS build task, you run into problems where you end up needing to kind of clean and scorch earth and start over again. So we'll get this guy going, and so far it looks well. So I briefly took a look at this prior to the stream and started playing with it and ran into problems and didn't look at what they were or what the exact issues were. So I have a mild issue or a mild inkling about where all of the problems are. One thing that's worth noting, for anyone who wants to pull this down, Visual Studio lies to you. So if you pull down and try to compile the project without .NET Core installed, it'll tell you that you need to go enable preview versions of .NET Core, and it'll direct you to somewhere in options and projects and solutions, and yeah, ignore that. That checkbox has moved, and the message in Visual Studio apparently has not been updated to tell you where it is. So the magical spot that you are looking to go into is underneath Environment, and then Preview Features. This is the new location for the checkbox, and then you need to enable Use Previews of the .NET Core SDK. Otherwise, it will only use the non-preview versions of the .NET Core SDK, and you won't be compiling with .NET Core 3, and it will break. So, oh, and let me fix my font size here real quick. So be bigger. Okay, so that was remarkably easy, and everything just built. So that is almost a little too easy. So let's just fire this up and see what happens. I'm going to delete these two backup folders because I don't care about having the pre-converted versions. And this yellow checkbox on dependencies scares me. But I don't know what is going on here. And I suspect what it might be is might have to dig in as to why I see yellow warning triangle here and not on any of these. Avalon edit. This could be a bit of a problem. So it is worth noting that even though you can compile WPF with .NET Core, this doesn't somehow magically make your WPF app run on Mac or Linux. It just lets you use the .NET Core runtime, which has a lot of significant improvements. You get advantage of like the side-by-side installation, so you can distribute your runtime along with your app. So you don't have to worry about, oh, do my users actually have the right version of .NET installed? You can just package it all up together and ship it, and everything runs. So this will currently work for me with Avalon Edit because I know I have all those dependencies installed, but it is something that might be a bit of an issue. I will have to look and see if Avalon Edit actually has a .NET Core update. You gonna go? You're gonna just run for me and make my life really happy? Because it would be awesome if you just ran. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Material design in XAML running on .NET Core. Nice. Nice, 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 nice. Sweet. That was a lot less painful than I expected it to be. Cool. So we've got package dependencies that need to be dealt with. And I think, let's go ahead and let's just reload our unit test projects and see see what we got going on here. So we will rebuild the solution, and I'm intentionally rebuilding only because my last build was from a different branch, and I just don't trust it. Usually after switching branches, I find that a clean rebuild helps avoid getting into weird states. Sometimes it thinks things need to be updated, sometimes it's a little confused. And then we'll see how this goes, because ideally our test runner picks everything up, and I'm expecting to see that issue that was commented here saying the Rhino mocks test fails, which I'm okay with. Like I said, I think what I'll end up doing is just stripping out that whole unit test altogether, because I don't think it's, that's not the unit test project. I think it was palette helper test, if I'm not mistaken. Palette helper fixture, yeah, this guy here. So, and more importantly, these things are calling the old obsolete methods. Assert was called. I'm a little less concerned. So why would this guy be unhappy about the constructor? Did we even add a constructor to this? I don't think there is one. Interesting. There is no constructor in here. Didn't think we added one. So we'll see what it thinks once the Test Explorer actually wakes up and figures out what's going on. So there's also dependencies here that are apparently unhappy. Not horribly surprised. I think this guy's probably got. Well, he's only got a few things. I really wish that yellow triangle would propagate out and show me which one. I know that it'll show up in here. Let's see. So, bunch of warnings there, bunch of warnings there. There is usually warnings here. So, RhinoMox was restored using .NET Framework 1. Once again, ShowMeTheXaml was restored using .NET Framework. Same with Avalon Edit. So we're going to run into problems with these. So this triangle is almost assuredly unhappy about this one. Yeah. Yeah. So well, let's run all these tests. Like I said, I might just cheat and take RhinoMox completely out of the mix, because there's these unit tests here are only verifying that people are able to create mocks of the palette helper, which is good. It makes some assertions on things that need to be virtual, but I don't. So ultimately, these are the new methods. So for anyone who's watching who was worried about the obsolete attributes that got added in, the reason I ended up not putting text on these obsolete attributes is there's not a single method change. Ultimately, what you end up needing to do is replace your palette helper calls for all of these methods into using the get theme and set theme. So these will give you a theme object and or set the theme in. You can manipulate this interface. It just has a bunch of brushes on it. You can do it directly. For things like just quickly setting what's now called secondary color and primary color. There are extension methods on it to where you can just set it quickly and easily. There is an example repo that I put out. I'll go grab it real quick. So let's grab this guy here. So there is a sample project that I did that shows how to use the new API. So if you're interested, I have a material design in XAML's example. Don't take these as gospel. They're literally just sample projects that I put together because I find people ask me the same types of questions, and a lot of times it's easier to show an example than to try to answer a question directly. So specifically this one here underneath the Ma apps custom theme shows about the most complicated theming situation you can imagine. So it has the Ma apps integration, it has theme pickers, it lets you go through and create your own custom themes either in XAML or in code, and shows how that all works. So one test failed. Let's take a look. So yeah, palette helper fixtures. So is mockable with Rhino, and I think the solution that's going to happen here is I think we're just going to whack this whole file. I really don't think, I don't see a lot of value in these tests. They're effectively asserting that the methods are virtual, and they are asserting that the mock libraries are able to do their job. So this feels like testing somebody else's library to me rather than testing this library, even though it's asserting that our methods are virtual. But I don't see a lot of value to it. So we are going to just drop all of these. So nsubstitute, mock or mockq, and then Rhino mocks. So we are going to just clean all these guys up, because ultimately most of these, just delete. So clean those out of my packet reference, clean these out of my packet dependencies. Let's see here. So there's Rhino mocks, nsubstitute, and mock. Most of these libraries, I'm not confident on all of them, ultimately end up relying on something called Castle Dynamic Proxy under the hood. It's what actually generates the underlying mock object. So most of them take a dependency on that or embed it directly, because it's a very fast, very solid library for doing those kinds of, I have an interface, please generate me a class that implements the interface. So, but its API is a little more complex, and every mock library author has their own opinion about what simple mocking looks like. And so you end up with a bunch of mocking libraries. Okay, so that handles that problem. So now if we do a rebuild, I believe that will kick off, and I'm actually going to go and do something real quick. So I think, let's back up here. I just want to go through and blow out those packages and just make sure that they don't come back. So mock, go away. Let's see, and substitute and Rhino mocks, go away. And we'll just rebuild, because Packet is supposed to run as part of the build. That's something else I want to test as part of this. It should be getting picked up because it has a targets file that it adds. But I just, again, when you're dealing with something that's messing with the build system, it's always good to test it from a clean state. And especially when dealing with .NET Core, test it from both within Visual Studio and the command line, which we know the command line is broken at the moment. So this will at least address a couple of those concerns. While that guy's building, I think what we're going to do is .NET Core WPF behaviors. Because I'm fairly confident the solution is for .NET Core to switch your dependency to a different NuGet package. I believe that was their difference. So rather than, and I'm not entirely sure of the reasoning behind it. So this guy here, pretty sure this is right. This doesn't show me, I really wish this site would show me the supported platforms. When in doubt, there is a wonderful app called NuGet Package Explorer, available on the Windows Store. And it will make looking at these packages quick and easy. Really all I'm looking to know is if this is the right package that supports .NET Core. So when we pull up NuGet Package Explorer, open package from online feed, it searches NuGet because that's the feed I've given it. and we'll go and take a look. So, like a couple people have stolen the icon, but this one's authored by Microsoft. Oh, look at that. SuperJam, no, those are all authored by Microsoft. Okay, so let's just open the latest version. So all it does is basically download the Nougat package and unzip it so you can take a look at it. So .NET Framework version 4.5. This is not .NET Core. Okay, well let's keep looking then, because what were we using in our package dependencies? I guess let's go back and figure out our error first. Assets file not found. What is going on here? So object project assets run a Nougat package restore. Design themes tests. Why do you think you need a Nougat package restore? You shouldn't. Let's take a look here. So non-packet reference. So this is the packet target that I was mentioning that should actually cause all of our Nougat packages to get installed appropriately. So which one were you missing? Packet access says JSON. That sounds like you just lost your mind. Rebuild yourself. Yeah, the fact that you think you can't find .NET Standard app, despite the fact that the other one's compiled, sort of makes me question. So we'll let that guy run for a minute. Let's back to the Google hunt. This is the article I mentioned before. So if you are working with a WPF app and looking to port over to .NET Core, that's the article in question. You can run the Portability Analyzer compatibility pack. In our case, we're going there, so I'm more interested in just doing it and dealing with the fallout. Let's see here. So fix assembly info generation, which this has already been done. Source code has already been handled for us, which is great. I think this has already been. So I thought there was behaviors that was referenced in here. Maybe I'm just crazy. Not in here. Okay, so let's go back one more time and see what's going on here. So was that a successful build? Yeah, so it was just confused. Excellent. I prefer that. Okay, so we'll deal with this. Let's just do a quick, actually, git cracking. I prefer git cracking. So I did clean up an unneeded property change in the unit test project earlier. Let's see here. We'll clean this guy up too. So removing unneeded palette helper tests. This also removes mock, rhino mocks, and n substitute. Okay, so that'll clean that up. We'll get that in and done. And let's see about actually changing out. Okay, so that fixes all of those. So I guess the question is, what are the dependencies that are causing this guy problems? Avalon edit, you don't have a problem. So who's actually referencing behaviors? Is it you? You aren't referencing it. I'm wondering if let's go back to go back to this. I want to look at this error one more time and see what is actually going on here. So there's that. The other thing that subtly needs to happen with this too is there are going to be pipeline changes that need to occur so that this thing can actually compile it. So I started down that path of trying to get those in, so you'll probably see me playing with this and breaking pipelines in the process. So these dependencies are, oh, I wonder if it's the other demo, the one that I have unloaded. Let's look, because this guy could be referencing it, because the MAApps draggables demo, once again, we don't need all these backups. We can clear these files out. They aren't checked in anyway. Yep, go ahead and remove them. These dependencies, let's take a look. Because if this guy is the one referencing them, that would not. Oh, no, you are fine. So who's taking the dependency there? Is it MAApps that has the dependency? Controls EX. So I'm not worried about these guys and these guys being restored with framework. Again, the comment that he made was these are the latest releases of these. The preview releases do have .NET Core support in them. Juan Carger, I'm probably butchering your name, I'm sorry. I know I've seen a lot of posts from him about MAApps with .NET Core support. He's had it for months. And he also does a lot of the work on the controls EX library. And so I know that one's going to have it as well. We don't take a direct dependency on the library itself. We just pull in a couple of its files. So that one's a little less of a concern to me. Let's bring this guy in. Let's reload these guys up and see about compiling this one. This one might be let's see. I don't see. I don't know if this guy's, yeah, I don't. Let's do this. Yeah, so it does. So I'm not sure about the behaviors. I might have to, let's look at this pull request real quick. Because it might have been something that had to get dropped, maybe not. Wrong targeting framework. So let's see, wrong targeting framework, package versioning, constraint conflicts. So this is probably just, I need to update my library to their latest stuff. This we addressed, this we can address, and I cannot find the reference to you, which is bothering me. And I'm wondering if it's something that possibly got stripped out. I don't know if this is, so this, it doesn't show in here, but so this could just be, oh yeah, because GitHub doesn't load large diffs. So this, I might have to, so I'm going to ignore this behaviors thing. We'll come back to it. So let's just see if we can build this guy and run him. There is probably those same issues that he mentioned with MAApps and their API changes, but I suspect this was addressed slightly differently. Let's take a look at the CS Proj for this. The nice part with the new CS Proj is if there's going to be package references, you can find them right in here. I am curious why, these things are being generated and dropped. I'm wondering if these things were in the old CS Proj and I just never noticed them. Because it seems very odd that these generated C# files are not being included. Because these are effectively the backing C# files for these XAMLs. Yeah, I think that's what those get generated to. That looks to be what I would expect. So I suspect these ones might just be either, I'm not sure how these CS projects were done. Could be I know there's a converter out there, and it could just be a conversion error because it tries to keep feature parity. Or it could legitimately be a bug. So let's set startup project. And this guy should just fire up and go. It is worth noting this is one of the key properties, this use WPF in the new CS Proj format. The other one being setting this SDK. So anyone who's done any .NET Core work and you've looked at your CS Proj, you'll notice this .NET Core app isn't too unlike any .NET Core CLI apps that you may have written. You just need a couple changes to get the WPF stuff. I don't think the project type grids are still required. So this is the theming change for my apps that we'll have to absorb. So before we can get this working, we got to get that guy going. So I'm also going to, I want to remove these guys because that looks like probably a converter bug. Because the fact that these project type grids are still in here makes me very much suspect that the issue is there. Okay, so let's go through and let's deal with, I think let's deal with ShowMeTheXaml next. So let's load up a new solution. So file, oh, I'm debugging, so it's not going to let me. File, open, project or solution. So this is going to get a little technical really fast because ShowMeTheXaml isn't exactly, it's trivial in its intent, but it's not necessarily trivial in how things have to work, especially for supporting the build task. So the short version is ShowMeTheXaml, let's see, do not load the project. ShowMeTheXaml goes through and it, do not load the project. It reads through all of your XAML files on a pre-compile step and generates a C# dictionary filled with the XML that it finds. Right? So in our project, you'll see the XAML displayer control. That's what this guy is ultimately looking for. Is he just goes hunting for XAML displayer controls, and every time he finds one, he just reads in the string between the opening and closing tags and adds that into a dictionary. So that's all it does. And then at runtime, when the app launches, we now have an easy way of looking up the original XAML for whatever was inside of it. Because it's a generic content control, we can put pretty much anything in there and get it back out. I had initially looked at doing something like this with like decompiling the compiled XAML, which is called BAML. And the problem is you just lose too much information going back and forth. So ultimately settled on this solution just to try and make it quick and easy. There's been a lot of people who have done similar things where they end up just trying to make it, trying to hard code the stuff in and ultimately code it twice. And I didn't want to try to keep things in sync. That's way too much work. So without further ado, there are probably several things. Now there's going to be another library I'm going to open up that I've worked on. And I don't see it here, so let's just let's do this. Go over here and grab it real quick. So there's a dependency injection library called AutoDI that I have built a while back. We'll probably at some point do a stream or similar on it. For people who are interested in playing with it, a small word of caution: I have been told that there are errors with it when using it with a UWP app with a net standard shared project. So I don't doubt that there are potentially issues. It does IL manipulation to do DI resolution, so it can be quite fast. It's built on the same framework as the Microsoft Dependency Injection Abstractions library. So it has a nice familiar API if you're used to the way ASP.NET Core does it. But the key part that I'm interested in is I've already solved the issue of MS Build tasks and .NET Core. So that's really what I'm interested right here. So you'll notice I've done this. I've solved this problem once before. So rather than trying to reinvent the wheel and trying to remember what I did, I'm just going to steal my work. Because it's not plagiarism if you steal from yourself, right? Okay, so step 1 and 2. So to do this stuff right, we are going to change the target framework. So this is the issue. So right now, if we were to compile the solution, you'll notice we get this error here. So show me the XAML MS build XAML dictionary task could not be loaded because the assembly could not load Microsoft Build Utilities v4 or one of its dependencies. So again, the issue is when you run .NET Build, it's using a different runtime than Visual Studio, and so it's using a different version of the Microsoft Build Utilities, which is ultimately the base class for any MS Build task. So this is the solution, or something very similar to this. Basically, you multi-target your assembly for either .NET Framework or .NET Standard. And in the case of .NET Standard, this is what gets loaded up on the .NET CLI at a .NET Build, and it will use the core version of the MS Build task rather than the full framework one. And then everyone gets to be happy. So I think we're just going to steal this work right here. And go back to our Show Me the XAML MS Build, because I think I had started down the process of trying to make this guy just work, and apparently not. That does not look right. So we'll just build this one out. For anyone who may have come across this library, if you're wondering if you're building your own WPF app, unless you have the very specific requirement of I need to show the original XAML for some piece of code, don't include it in your app. Just for fun, I occasionally will go through GitHub and find repos that have references to it. And most of the time I found that people have just blindly copied it out of the demo app without actually looking and understanding what things do. Please don't do that. So let's see, this guy's going to go away like that. And then let's go back. Hey. What's going on? Visual Studio, maximizing the window is not a hard operation. There you go. Oh, it's probably trying to load the Test Explorer and grok all the things. Please don't load. I don't want you to do anything. I understand. You're unhappy. Please don't do this. Let's see here. So we've got some defined constants, which we won't need in this. Copy local lock file assemblies, we won't need in this. I do need to update my target frameworks. So this guy will be necessary. So we'll go over here and just rev the target frameworks. This guy, reload all. Visual Studio, I think you are getting very, very confused. I think MS Build is trying to go crazy and do stuff. So I think this, because this project itself, again, is very simple. It just has a single MS Build task, and all it does is go and build out that XAML dictionary. It does take advantage of the Nougat targets file to automatically inject itself as part of your build process. Great. And it does have a dependency on, obviously, the ShowMeTheXaml base library, because this guy has that. So this is what I had apparently added support for, but never up. So this is kind of updated to the new one. But there's a lot of property groups in here. I should probably come back in here and clean this up. Let's just deal with this right now. So debug any CPUs. So debug symbols can be set here. Debug type, output type. I don't believe this is actually necessary anymore. Define constants, I don't believe is necessary anymore. Error reporting and more levels. That, and I don't believe that is necessary anymore. And I think what we're going to do is actually just, I think what we're going to do is just move these types up into the full property group, and we're just going to whack all these and keep this simple. I think we always want to generate debug symbols, full debug type. We don't need this anymore. We do need that. We do need that, and we do need the build.targets. Let me see here. What are you squawking about? What is your dependency that you're unhappy about? I will come back to you in a minute. Let's see here. So I think that is probably fine. Let's take a look at this Avalon edit. So you are clearly multi-targeting. So edit CS Proj. And same problems here. So this guy can go away. That guy can go there. And I think we move you two up. And then I think we just whack both of you. And I think that solves most of our problems. And then I am curious on this Avalon edit, because this could prove to be a bit of a problem if we can't find an alternate. So what I'm going to do is just going to grab this, and I'm going to go back to my package manager here, open from feed. And we're just going to take a look and see, because if we don't have a version of the editor that works in .NET Core, that's going to be a bit of a problem. Basically, it'll be a little bit of back to the drawing board of figuring out what is there. So the good news is, latest version of Avalon Edit supports .NET Core 3.0. Huzzah! So this is what we need here. Perfect, 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 perfect. That is what we wanted. I am interested in looking at the non-pre-release version. I suspect if I look at this, I'm not going to see a .NET Core. Okay, so basically, if we want the .NET Core 3.0 support, we've got to go to their preview version of their package. Okay, makes sense. I am okay with that. So let's see, show all versions again, because this version is going to be important in a moment. So we'll just leave that there. Okay, so the question is, do we want to multi-target this? Or do we want to just preview package the whole way through? Given that this is only being used in the demo app, I think rather than doing a conditional package reference, because I'm noticing here that this is actually wrong. This is a straight up DLL reference and not a package reference like it should be. So that's wrong to begin with. So we're getting rid of that. And I believe what we want to do is, I think I'm just going to do a package reference straight to the preview package and include it always. I think that makes the most sense. Because this isn't going as part of the core library, it's only going to be part of the demo app. So if there are minor bugs, they'll only appear in our demo app, which I think I'm okay with that. I think I am okay with that. So, because I don't intend to hold the material design release until .NET Core 3 releases. I fully intend to release it prior, and obviously preview Nougat packages will be out as soon as we get all these problems resolved. So let's see here. So we're gonna bring you in, and we're gonna deal with all of these compile issues. Because it's been a while since I've had to look at this code. It's always one of those scary times when you go in and look at code that you wrote like 6-9 months ago, and then you always have to question, what the heck was I thinking? Resolve package failed unexpectedly. Well, why did you fail? Successfully installed. What? Successfully installed, then failed. We have very different definitions of what successfully installed mean. So you're not there. What are you doing to me, Nougat? Now you think it's there. Let's just check the CS Proj. I think Visual Studio is losing its mind right now, and yeah. So this is what I was expecting. A single package reference, not a hard-coded reference, to Avalon edit. Now, this is a bit of a problem. This is a bit of a problem. And I'm tempted. So this is almost assuredly what this guy's squawking about, is it's seeing all of these references. And I think what we're just going to do is we are going to conditionally include these. So let's see, if the target framework is net 4.5, go ahead and include these. So you'll notice those now dropped off of here and only show up over here, which is great. So now so this guy's probably got the same, yeah, he's got the same set of problems. Let's go back up here and we'll conditionally do this as well. Let's see. So just checking all of these to make sure there isn't anything fancy, but I think we can do the exact same condition. Let's see. Target framework is equal to net 4.5. And I realize this is targeting a very old version of .NET Framework for no other reason other than I could and I wanted to support older stuff. As far as I know, the only actual app that's making real use of this library is Material Design in Xaml. So trying to do this backwards support may be a bit wasted. So if I have to, I have no problem revving this up, but currently this library is very simple. There's nothing fancy in it. So I may end up, because I know 4.5 is either end of life or close to it, and so it's probably worth revving this up to 4.6.1 at least. Okay, so let's see what's going on in here. So you're now happy. Let's see. Little surprised you don't show multiple targets under your dependencies list. That's mildly shocking and a little concerning, but I'm going to chalk it up to Visual Studio losing its mind right now. Let's see. So this guy is unhappy about that, but I think what we're going to do is just recompile. So yeah, so you're there. You're conditionally compiling there. Okay. Full rebuild of the solution, and hopefully it figures itself out. There is a chance, so Visual Studio leaves the MS build process running as a performance optimization, because if it doesn't have to start a new process on every compile, it's a lot faster, which is great. The problem being that if your MS Build process is loading up assemblies, it's holding on to those assemblies. And so if you change that process up, sometimes you either need to whack your MS Build process, and sometimes Visual Studio is smart enough to go through and clean it up and handle it. And other times it just loses its mind. So both are possible. I think in this case it's probably figuring out that there's a dependency chain or a dependency change, and it needs to go through and handle it. So if this works, we will get new Nougat packages pushed out. If I remember correctly, I have automatic Nougat packages going out on every push to master for this library, which is a little aggressive, but given how few times I've had to rev the library, I think it makes sense. We'll double check it. Okay, so rebuild all successful. I think that handles all of our, kind of want to reload this project to make sure it's in a good state. Because that looks better, that looks better. Let's check our output window. You are using a preview version of .NET Core. Great. That's what we want. We want .NET Core 3.0 support. Cool. Why are all of my unit tests unloaded? Because these were change the targeting framework. So my unit test projects are targeting the wrong frameworks. Okay, let's load you guys up and convert you as well. So, because I would like to make sure that my unit tests actually can run. Yeah, go ahead and change the targeting framework. We're probably going to just switch these over to .NET Core projects anyway here in a minute. Yeah, because these are old .NET framework tests. Do I care? Do I care? I don't know if I do. Well, part of me wants to update these projects, and part of me wants to not care about them right now. Let's update them. Grumble, 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 grumble. So the easiest way to go through and do these, so there's two processes for updating your CS projects. There is a, yeah, because they're so small in here. Because I basically started, every time I ran into failure cases, I started writing unit tests for each of them. As you can see, didn't hit a lot of failure cases on this one. I think just changing the target framework might be good enough. Because that normalizes line endings, and this is really the brunt of the work, is this SAML formatter, making sure you can get the desired output. Yeah, I think just changing the target framework is probably acceptable, though I think what I'm going to do, these guys are targeting, I think you picked 461, I think I'm just going to rev these guys to the latest full framework that I have installed. Yeah. Because I don't know if I'm worried about actually running these unit tests and seeing difference in .NET Core 3. Yes, there could be differences. Am I really concerned with it? It's pretty unlikely. So we are just going to bump these guys up to latest full framework because the libraries that they're targeting are targeting later full frameworks. Just to confirm, yeah, net standard 472. So if we're going to test this, we should probably test it from the right framework. So one more rebuild just for posterity, and we'll go and fire this guy off. I think, do I have my solution items? Oh, good. So let's take a quick look at this guy. So I've got a version number and all of this jazz. So I probably need to update my Visual Studio target, but the rest of this probably just works. wait a minute. This can't be what I'm using. Because I'm noticing things like this. There's no way that works. Unless I really push this. So clearly I copied this AppVeyor build from my AutoDI project. And yeah, about that. Well, this is clearly not doing anything because that solution file doesn't even exist. It is building and targeting individual new spec files. So let's see here. So this is going to be Nougat pack. So how are all these guys working? So I believe, if I remember right, now so don't take this pattern as a great way of building Nougat packages. This is one of the first ones that I did, and I don't think it's great. There are better options available. So I think this guy was supposed to have like a copy. How the heck does this work? Let's see, build targets. Copy Nougat output. So this guy, this build targets must be getting referenced. Let's see, do I see a build targets? Yeah, there it is. So it's referencing this build targets file. This build targets file fires off the copy Nougat output after build. It copies it into the Nougat project. And this should just work. Let's just, given that we've just done a rebuild, let's just check this guy real quick to make sure it's actually going into the expected folders. The one thing that can change when you do multi-targeting is underneath your bin debug directories, you'll notice you start picking up target framework so that when you compile and target multiple frameworks, it can disambiguate where those are going, which is another reason why I dropped that target output directory property to let Visual Studio figure it out rather than me being explicit. So this guy on a compile copies into here, ShowMeTheXaml into my lib. There's now a net 4.5, great. There's now a net core 3.0, great. That just works. That's what I expect. Again, this sort of manual layout of your folders and compiling from a new spec, there are better options, but this is the old manual way, and it works really well. So there's the Avalon edit ones. The other thing, so this is multi-targeting. I think we need to check the new specs. So this guy here, yeah, so we need to change these new spec versions. So the other thing we're going to rev real quick is we're just going to rev this copyright. On here, let's see here. I believe if we look at that AppVeyor.xaml, it's passing in an explicit version, so it doesn't really matter. Yeah, it's explicitly setting the version on the Nougat package, so it doesn't really matter what these new spec versions are set to. In fact, I think even my local Nougats here go through and compile and explicitly set the version. So I think in the interest of not accidentally making a mistake in the future, I'm just going to do that. That way it's zeroed out and it doesn't matter. I think there was a change to one of these properties, but the old stuff should still work. So I'm just going to once again zero this guy out. This guy, let's see, what is our next version we're going to push out? So this is 103. This is weird. Why were those set to 2.0? Let's go look real quick. So file, open from feed, and let's just search for my package. Show me the XAML. Okay, so show all versions. So it looks like these 13 CI builds were probably the ones where I started adding net core support, which is fine. That is okay. That does beg the question, does my MS build, I just want to look at the version, the framework version that it generated. So, right, the MS build one doesn't matter as much. Got it. Okay. That's highly misleading, but whatever. It will still work. I think this is actually supposed to be net 472 now, though. So I think this guy here is probably being, yeah, 472. So if we do that, and I'm going to clear out this build directory real quick. So, because all of this should get copied back in, maybe not the new spec. And then on a rebuild, I would expect it to change that up. Because this will restrict who can actually install the NuGet package so that it runs down and forces people to be targeting 472. So if they're using it and you're targeting an old one, if you need older support, shoot me a message, file an issue on the repo, let me know. I don't mind trying to support it if somebody's using it, but like I said, last I checked, the material design library is the only one actually making use of this repo. So not real concerned with it at the moment. Let's go here, and I am interested in this guy, so build. Good. So that goes in there, that goes in there. I think I'm okay with just leaving this as 1.3. File open from feed. Because the last published version, I assume, was 1.12. Yeah, I feel like especially with the framework changes, I'm gonna rev it up to 1.1, because if I change the target framework, that's technically a breaking change. So and then Visual Studio, I believe it's just straight up 2019. Let's see, AppVer, what is it? Image list. We could always go log back into AppVer and take a look, because I think it's convenient enough to just give a drop down in the UI, but their docs are pretty good. So even though we've switched over to DevOps, I do just want to reiterate, AppVer is a very good build system, especially if you've got an open source project and you are looking to get up and running really quick and work well and have it be easy. AppVer, I think, is still king in that regard. DevOps just gives you a lot more control and lets you do a lot more. So yeah, it's sort of a trade-off between, do you want ease of use and separate build and release pipelines and all of that jazz, or do you just want to quickly get your NuGet packages built up, shipped out, and done? If it's the latter, that's probably AppVer is what you're looking for. Let's see here. I think one of these, we might just sign in real quick to AppVer. And I'm going to just put this window over here because I don't recall exactly what it shows on login. So we're just going to move that guy off screen real quick. And I'll get logged in and we'll see what's going on. I think it's usually pretty simple. Let's see, so it put me in the wrong project. There is my ShowMeTheXaml and my settings, and I think, are you just going to tell me the name of it? Show me your AppVer. caveat before we build. Let's see. Because the other thing we could do is, I believe there is, so I think we actually have to go through and install the preview for so export YAMLs. So here, let me bring this back over here. Okay, so inside of the the XAML. So this is how complicated it is to work with AppVer. It really is just simple things like, I want Visual Studio 2019 preview, please, and then show me the YAML for this, and it just generates it out, and that is still showing the old one. So we are going to go back up here, and I'm going to remember that there's a save button at the bottom that you should click, and then I'm going to go over here and grab this guy. So the settings inside of AppVer, I have them configured such that the YAML file takes precedence. So if there's a difference in the configuration between these two, so it makes it easy for testing this guy. So I think we just do, actually I don't think I want 2019 previews. I think I just want the released version of 2019. What I really care about is getting the .NET Core ones. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leverage someone else who I know is already using it. So the MAApps repo is using AppVer for their build system, and I know they have .NET Core support. So I'm guessing there's probably some line in their AppVer that says install .NET Core preview 11 or 6. Also, new sponsor button. So for any of you using MAApps, it's definitely a worthwhile project to throw your money behind. So if you are able to do so, I would encourage it. Okay, so he's targeting Visual Studio 2019 as well. All about this. Let's see. So this is all it takes. C install inside of the install block. Okay. Boom. And we don't need C install netfx 47 dev pack. Don't need that. Bring that in. I think that's it. So we rev the version number, update this, configuration, any CPU, configuration for releases. So this is, so this is something I fixed on my AutoDI project, is I stopped dealing with this separation of all of these things. So this isn't as important, but on the release branch, because you can make, rather than duplicating all these properties, you can combine them above and only have what's different per branch separated out, so you don't end up with all of this duplication. But I am not interested in trying to attack that problem right now. So I am just not going to, and come back to it at another time. Let's see, so before the build, that goes there. It is interesting. Wow, it is interesting to me that I have so royally screwed up this config. AppVer must be very tolerant. Most things are not. So there's these extra 2 spaces on this one that don't exist above. Wow, somewhat surprised I was able to get releases out. So the other thing AppVer has is a wonderful test my YAML for me. Let's see, where is it? AppVer test YAML. So you can, rather than committing and finding out that you've messed up your YAML somewhere, it'll actually check it for you ahead of time, which is awesome. Because nothing sucks more than doing pipeline work, doing a push, and then realizing did not find. So I'm going to go with this guy is broken. Hui vey. Because I think, I cannot remember my YAML syntax right now. It has been a while since I've had to do it directly. But we can do this and validate. Okay, so now we've got valid syntax. Great. That's what we need. Okay, the last thing we need to do is deal with our Nougat dependencies. So this guy here, this guy here, this guy here. So we're first going to bring these versions to 0 to avoid any confusion that these are actually being used. And then we are going to go through, and these are the dependencies here that need to be addressed. So let's see, update new spec files. Version, max version. So this guy goes through and deals with those. You also notice it does the same copyright update that I'm about to make too. Is he actually being run on the pipeline? Let's see. Update new spec files. So he is actually being run. So that's wonderful. He'll deal with all the ShowMeTheXaml updates. I think what I want to do then is on things like this, just to make sure that it's abundantly clear how these are being used and that these are being controlled by my script. I just want to zero these out so I don't get, because future me will not remember this. So the last thing is this Avalon edit. We want to change this dependency here. And I think, let's see here, manage Nougat dependencies. That was a little weird. Let's just edit the CS Proj. So close you down, close you down. So this here, I'm trying to remember the Nougat syntax for this, because really what I want to say is it requires the alpha builds. So is that, so it's clearly going to be 6.0, right? It's a 6.1 because I believe they follow semver. But I cannot remember if this includes preview releases as well. Let's just look it up. Nougat version dependencies. So there's Nougat package. Yeah, one of these explains the. One of these doc pages, I believe, explains how these versions work, because I'm always very confused with where the CI packages land, because the full version always takes precedence, and I can't remember if that's great. That's how the resolution works. Excluding references, incoming package errors. Maybe it's package versioning. Because I'm really just looking to understand. Oh, that's the same. Yeah, you're the same page. Because I'm really just looking to try and understand exactly what is going on with each of these. Yeah, so pre-release versions, semantic versioning, blah, blah, blah. So minimum version inclusive. Does that make sense? I guess what I'm missing is this preview package. So Nougat displays the full version string, whether funcs alpha release candidate. I know a lot of packages I do, we use CI because we don't have a concept of alpha, beta, release candidate. So usually it's CI and then full release, or CI release candidate, then release. And then applies precedence and previous in reverse alphabetical order. So I think so this is use accepted version. This is package config. Let's go for it. I think this is correct. I think. We're going to push it and find out. The problem being that, well, here's what we can do. We can just run this script here. So let's do this. cd cd ShowMeTheXaml. Build local Nougats version 2.0. So I'm just arbitrarily picking a bigger version to see how this works. So apparently it's expecting MS Build to kick off, which is fine. I'm now curious what this web request is. What did I do? Oh, it downloads Nougat exe, updates the new spec file versions, and then calls Nougat pack. Great. And I didn't specify a target directory, so it's not going to move them. It's just going to build them and put them all local. Great. Perfect. Apparently downloading nougat.exe is a slow process, or maybe it's the fact that I'm streaming and trying to download nougat.exe simultaneously. So we can get this pushed out tonight. That'll let nougat.org index it. Usually it takes, they say it can take up to an hour. I've seen it take longer at times, especially if they're under heavy load of just trying to process Nougat packages. But we'll do this real quick, and then we will test and verify that the package dependencies work. And then we'll push this out. So attempting package, license URL, considering using the license element instead. I should probably look at fixing that. Yeah, it's going to be broken on all of them. So, so it created all of these packages. Great. Let's go into here, back up. Let's see, I think it said it created them at the root. Yep, so it created all of these. So I have a Nougat directory that I can use as a local source. So one thing that's very easy to do if you want to test Nougat packages out, or Nougat building, rather than push and attempt and retry again. So let's get some of these things closed down. So let's go back to material design real quick. And actually, let's close this guy down too. I don't think we need him. Oh, and I think I actually have. No, rather than I was going to say I think I have a sample project that I've played around with before, but we're just going to go straight into here. So I've put all of my Nougat packages, or the ones generated from the script, into a folder under c:"dev nougats. Pick your favorite folder, doesn't matter. But you can set up a local folder as a Nougat package source so that you can pull those things in. And it lets you effectively simulate a real NuGet feed, but you can simulate it with just a folder as a source so that you're in full control. You can delete packages and break your NuGet feed and all that kind of jazz. So it's a great way for testing. And when I'm actually paying attention, that's usually how I try to test things. If you're in Azure DevOps, they have artifact feeds. They're another quick and easy way to set up a NuGet feed to get running. GitHub recently announced their feed as well. I haven't played with it yet. Looks kind of cool. Haven't tried it. Let's see. One of these days when I have lots of time, I will get to try all the cool things. So what we want to do is this. So I arbitrarily had picked that 2.0 version just as an arbitrarily high number. The key here is I'm going to go to my local package source. And you will notice that this shows a 2.0 version, which is great. So in theory, what I'm looking for is this. So hold on, something's being slow to update. There we go. So Avalon Edit. So this is the one that I'm really interested in seeing if it works. Because this greater than 6.0 and this is and less than 6.1, which that's what I expect. I just don't know how it handles. Reference the package directly. So detected package downgrade. So this is what I wasn't sure about, is if it would. So let's do this. So this guy is not showing the oh, I wonder, I bet you it's because I have my packages set to local. I bet you if I go all, that way, because the Avalon edit obviously isn't in my local feed. I wonder if that's what's tripping it up. Is it needs to know, it needs to pull in the ShowMeTheXaml from my local feed, but then resolve Avalon edit from Nougat.org. That's really what I want it to do. Come on. I know. Refreshing Nougats is hard. You can do it, Visual Studio. You can do it. I believe in you. And again, all of this pain and suffering only because there is a small but important difference between the build menu inside of Visual Studio and .NET build on the command line. Again, the whole difference is whether it's going to build with full framework versus .NET Core. Hey, how you doing? Your Music Gay, I think, if I'm getting that right. Just stuck on this homework. Is it WPF or C# related? Okay, so let's come back over here and we're going to try the XAML edit again. So now that it's showing that this guy has an update, I think that makes it better. So, no joy, no joy. It's C code. Do you have any experience with that? So my knowledge of C is limited. I haven't had to do much C. Well, I did a little bit of C a couple years ago for an embedded project, but I'm probably not the wisest person with C. Let's see, output window. Let's see, detected project downgrade from 2.0. Reference the project directly. Let's see here. Where is the... Why is it trying to downgrade? it knows that this needs to be a 2.0 upgrade. So, well, okay, so let's go down this process. I do not understand this. So let's upgrade this. This one should go up just fine, right? And there's probably some weird. Oh, sorry. I don't necessarily know either. I'll have to check. I don't actually know so the language filters are whatever were default. I just ticked the button that turned them on. So I don't take a whole lot of stock when it thinks that it needs to filter something. So I've seen it get confused at times. I've been trying to adjust the filter as necessary. Let's see here. So that got the basic one in. Okay. Avalon edit should now go up. Sixth grade. Oh, so do you have? Oh, it must have a direct. Oh, it's because it has a direct reference to 504 here. So okay, so the version dependency is working. It's just that because the project has an explicit reference here, it needs to. It doesn't know how to resolve. Got it. That makes me feel better. What's going on? Didn't we just say update? Successfully installed. You bother me, Nougat update window. Success looks like it goes away. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. So now I should be able to do tick tick update, and all the things should update. Oh, come on. Come on, don't you squawk at me. Let's get you off my chart and make sure you're fine. This is why we test our Nougat packages first. Okay, so that Nougat package, I assume this is another case. Yeah, successfully installed, still here. Me and you have very different definitions of success, Visual Studio. Okay, so this guy, and again, this is the part that you update, you realize, oh, wait, I do have something to do. So there is this update, and I am trying to figure out, detected package downgrade from 6.0. So I'm wondering what the appropriate change is here to make this work. So greater than or equal to 6.0. I think what I have to do is just greater than or equal to 599. Hey, T. Cyrus. I'm not too worried about malicious code. I'm usually fairly, I try to be intelligent about what I fire up and roll and download. So I think what we need to do is swap this version. Okay, so let's go back. And I don't really want to, so I get a little annoyed with some of this stuff. So show me the XAML. We're gonna just do this in VS Code because frankly it loads faster. And 1 second, my mic batteries are dying, so I'm gonna swap these out real quick. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that's the last time I have to deal with that. I've got a non-wireless mic coming tomorrow. So, okay, back to nougating. So I believe, let's see, this Avalon edit one, this new spec is the problem. So I think, because I don't know, I hate doing something like this because it technically leaves me open to, somebody releasing 5.9.10, right? and all I'm trying to do is pick up the 6.0 preview release, and that's all I want. That's all I want. I just don't know of a clean way of doing that. So, okay, go with this. We'll go back over here. Build NuGet packages. Because this is going into the local folder, I can get away with this. And I'll just overwrite the existing ones, and it'll be fine. Because this is all around just changes to the new spec files. And hopefully all of this just works. Okay, so let's go and grab these NuGet packages again. So cut those guys, jump over to my NuGet directory, paste those guys in, replace. Great. Back to Visual Studio. And if I do a refresh, this is part of what can take so long, is this thing has to go and figure it out. So you'll notice now our dependency version has changed, which is great. So all I want to do is make sure I can get this guy installed and pick up the right version of Avalon Edit. Detected package downgrade. Avalon Edit from 6.0. Hang on. This guy updated. This guy didn't. We're going to relaunch this, because I am losing faith in you, NuGet package window. You are lying to me. Lying to me. So let's try this one more time. Please pull the correct one. I think this guy is cached in my NuGet packages, which is probably where this guy is reading from. Yeah, so let's just whack you. So in the new CS Proj keeps cache versions of your NuGet references. So it's userprofile.nuget.package name. So be aware. Occasionally, especially if you're doing this kind of manipulation where you're doing bad things, where you're overwriting NuGet packages and you aren't seeing the updates, that can very easily be the cause. So you'll notice that did not clear it. Air list. Come on, where are you being cached from? See, you'll notice the version it's pulling down has still got the 6.0 change in it. Dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it, dang it. Where are you? Where are you? So, show me the XAML. Let's blow away the one in NuGet packages. That goes away. Let's blow away the one in Material Design Toolkit. Let's blow away. Oh, it's probably because I deleted the one out of ShowMeTheXaml and not the Avalon Edit one. That was probably the problem. I bet you it was the NuGet packages cache. You just have to target the right NuGet package. So, update. Because there is an implicit assumption about NuGet packages being stable. That's why most NuGet package feeds won't let you blow stuff away. Okay, huzzah. That finally works. Okay, so that gets us there. That gets us there. What is your problem now? Why are you unhappy? You should now have a .NET Core 3.0 target to land on. There you go. You just needed to process. Cool. So that now works. Hang on. What are you angry about? Which one are you angry about? Ooh. .NET. So the MS build process is being picked up. incorrectly. So let's look at this NuGet package. So this is another one to fix. It's never easy, never easy. Okay, show me the XAML. Well, let's just look at the NuGet package. So ms build NuGet package, net 472. Oh, right. This is something else that I had to change. So AutoDI has a trick that it does in here. So in the, why is this folder still here? Must just be leftover. It used to use Foddy, and I moved away from Foddy because I wanted additional features on the MS build pipeline that Foddy wouldn't expose. So, but in the build targets file, and not to say Foddy's bad by any means, it is another great library that's very much worth using. I just, for my library, it wasn't going to be a great fit. So I effectively rebuilt a large portion of it in my AutoDI build project. So, but this guy here has a targets file, and this guy here, I believe, yeah. So this is the other kicker. So it compiles both a .NET Core and a .NET Framework version of the assembly that contains the task, and then picks the appropriate one based upon this MS Build runtime target. So unfortunately, I think we're just going to grab all of this, because this is effectively what we're going to need. So this will work once again, but it won't work on the command line. So let's go back and go back into show me the XAML. And then let's see if we can get this guy going. I think that's really the last bit of this flaw. So this show me the XAML, when it's copying out for the MS build, basically the problem is it's copying out a single DLL, and I'm guessing it's last one out wins, which isn't going to work because we effectively need two, and we need to be intelligent about which of the ones that we load. So I might just look real quick. Where did I end up putting those in the AutoDI library? Because it effectively does the same sort of package building. So right at the root, it just has Net Core and Net Framework with the DLLs inside of it. Okay, so we'll probably, and I can't claim to have come up with this solution. Again, I borrowed very heavily from Foddy when I was trying to figure out everything that needed to go in, especially for providing .NET Core support. So close all documents. Let's go through, and on the MS build process, go to the targets, because this is what really needs to change here. So let's bring this guy in and see what we've got. So there are generated file, assembly directory. So the generated file we don't care about. This is just what's the name of the C# file that it's going to generate into. So if you wanted to overwrite it in your project, you could. Otherwise, it'll use that. Assembly directory. I don't know why I exposed that. But this is going to be, build this file or directory. Let's see. So this is going to be the actual one. So let's change this. So show me the XAML assembly directory is fine because this is ultimately what this needs to be, and I just need a path variable above. So let's bring these two guys up, and come on, Visual Studio. I know, XML is hard, especially when I've got invalid XML down there. Here, if I comment it out, will that make you happy? Does that make you happy, Visual Studio? There you go. Okay, stop griping at me. Okay, so this guy here is going to end up replacing this one and this one, and this is going to become path. I'm just copying the same pattern that existed down here, where it generates the path to the directory and then just appropriately tacks on net core, net framework. So that'll get it going to the appropriate place, because really all it's doing is looking for this assembly at in this directory. Come on, Visual Studio. I know this is really hard. You're really making me want to switch over to VS Code right now. Come on. Select text. Not that challenging. Okay, so this is going to end up going, yeah, I understand. I've got invalid XML. I get it. I really do. Please stop yelling at me. Just do what I tell you to do. Come on. Come on. You can do it. Okay, scroll all the way over. So this one, this tag needs to change to match. Nope. Undo. Copy, not paste. This one needs to update to change as well. Come on, come on. I know. Go, go. Let's go. Come on. I want to get this done. Sharper, you are almost assuredly the problem child here. Quit processing the files. I want to turn you off right now and just do quick edits. Paste. Paste. Okay. So that gets, so this will fix the reference to the task, because now it'll be looking in either a net core or a net framework. The next problem we have is we need to copy the appropriate builds into the right output directories. Because right now everything's just ending up at the root there, and that is not going to work. So edit project file, and let's see if we can, okay, copy targets file. Let's see, so this guy here is running, let's see here, so this is not, so source file, copy items, recursive. I don't think, well, so let me look at how this other CS Proj. Again, I've done this once before, and so I know that there is a solution-ish. It's just how quick and dirty can we do this? Okay, so this guy does a copy output. Let's see here. So, so he just does this. So on the target, framework picks the appropriate task output directory. That seems reasonable. So let's go over here and do the same thing. So, because we've got build items and copy items, so this is task output directory, and then this becomes destination folder, project name, solution dir, Nougat, project name. So rather than copy items recursive, this becomes $ task output directory. Okay, So let's go back over to our Nougat folder on ShowMeTheXaml. We'll clear it out, make sure it gets itself all happy. So we're going to do this, leave the new spec file because, oh, sigh. Not what we're aiming to do. Not what we're aiming to do. So whack those files, and then on a rebuild, it should lay out properly. This is one of the only reasons why I sometimes like compiling my NuGets from a folder with a new spec like this, is it gives you a pretty good way of looking at the result without actually having to build up a NuGet package. So it's a little quicker when you're trying to make sure you get all your files into the right spot. So there are, I am aware that on the new spec you can do like file links and directly target in to the appropriate files. So I am aware that that is a thing and it's doable, but it is, again, I'm just copying existing setup. At some point, there's a lot of improvements I'd love to make to my build system. Pull requests accepted. So if somebody wants to go through and do it. So that looks a lot better. Okay, so back to building up NuGet packages, build local NuGets, go gadget. Back in material design, what I want to do is I want to actually whack this guy. So let's just go with installed, I guess. So ms build, we're going to uninstall. Yep, go ahead and whack it, and then I'm going to show me the XAML ms build. So I'll make sure I clear out my cache of that guy as well. What are you unhappy about? Are you unhappy that I deleted a file while you were still trying to download it? Cannot modify it. An imported file, blah, blah, blah. Why are you trying to modify that file? Where are you coming from? Oh, is this because of packet and the fact that I've now done something horribly, horribly bad by using NuGet alongside of it? Fine. Well, we will. I believe this is another case where I don't want these items removed. Okay. Visual Studio, close. Yep, I get it. You're running slow. So there's so this is going to become a 472. That needs to change. Just to make sure that picks up the right stuff. Let's see here. So, oh, because we've manually changed this, 472. Let's pick that up as well. I'll just check the packages folder. I really just want to whack you. Especially since I don't see the package reference in here. Unless it is very possible I'm blind, but I am not seeing the package reference. I am not seeing it in here at all. I'm guessing packet must have been overly helpful here. So let's just go to our do I not have my Oh, I might not have it included. So add existing item. Let's go get the dependency list for this guy. You don't have one. Interesting, interesting, interesting. Let's try this. Clean project, and then we'll whack the package. Yeah, yeah, so it's unhappy about those paths we just changed. Yeah, I get it. It's because you brought in the wrong package. I'm trying to remove it. Go away. An object originating as an imported blah blah blah. Where is your... Okay, let's go back. This is getting way too hard. So we're gonna just cheat, because all I really care to do is verify that this works. So generate me a new set of packages, new versions, please. So we'll just generate brand new packages across the board. Move these into my Nougats folder. Paste. Great. Updates. Go look them up. Nope, try again. I know they're there. There we go. So, MS build. Rev the package, please. All kinds of errors. So, what is the problem? Was restored using .NET Framework. So let's see. Show me the XAML. We'll update the base package first, because this guy allows changes to go through. Okay, so that one goes through. I should go back and undo those changes where I updated the target. And then, okay, let's go back here. I will go back and undo your changes while you figure yourself out. So 201, it should update shortly. Yeah, because it's these guys here where it's checking for. It should be switched to using 472 rather than the other one. Okay, so now if we update you should update. Okay. Show me the XAML, MS build. Should be at 201. Which it did successfully install. Now Visual Studio just has to process it and figure out that it's not bad. Okay. What? It's restored using .NET Framework 4.6.1. This package may not be fully compatible with your project. How? Okay, I am confused. So let's do this. Let's take a quick look at how the packages are laid out for, say, Well, we can look at AutoDI first. I don't know if this is going to be a great example because this is what we just based it on. So let's open up the preview package. So build. How do I build.targets? And I'm wondering if that's the problem. Is before it was just, I bet you that's it. So I bet you the issue is underneath Nougat directory, we have ms build, and this guy was going build and then target framework, which I think is probably, I bet you that's how it's detecting that the supported frameworks. Dang it. Dang it, dang it, dang it. Okay. Last time, I hope. So I think we just take it out of the framework and let it go. Yeah, let's give this a shot. So show me the XAML, Nougat. I guess I was just in there, wasn't I? Leave the new spec, delete the rest, rebuild, and then we'll rev the version again, target directory, c:\dev, Nougat. So once those packages are compiled, normally this script would do the build for me, but it requires you to have ms build on your path, and I'm too lazy to go and deal with that at the moment. Normally you just open a developer command prompt and import and all that jazz. I should open an issue to remember I go through and fix the license URL element, since it is deprecated. Let's see, the assembly net core is not inside the lib folder. Yep, not inside the lib folder. That we expect that. Great. Okay, so go back here, refresh. Okay, so let's update you, because you should be an easy win. We fix the Avalon edit ones. Great. If you get yourself out, wait until Visual Studio processes it and realizes what all of the things are that it does. It should show, this guy should refresh once this little scary yellow triangle of doom goes away. Okay, so he refreshed. Find this. We want to update, please. Come on, baby. Just want to be able to compile you from both Visual Studio and the command line. Let's see you work. I should be able to, so that guy launches. Item does not support preview updating. What? Little confused as to what this yellow triangle is. Deal with you in a minute. That shouldn't be a problem, right? I wonder if it's because there's nothing in the lib directory, so it doesn't know how to handle it, perhaps? Here in a minute, we're going to just do the compile and see what it says. So, Material Design Toolkit. Let's see, packages. MNOP, show me the XAML ms build. This packages, hold packages directory worries me. In fact, I'm going to just clear it. We'll see how badly it squawks when I do this. Where does it think these packages live? Where do you think these packages live? So that's pulling straight from my local one, which is fine, I guess. A little confused as to that error output. That should be fine. I believe that, so this old packages directory should be able to be cleared out, because ultimately going to the new CS Proj means that it should not be using that at all. I think Packet works the exact same way. I believe it's intelligent enough to effectively simulate everything Nougat does. Because in general, if you're just using Nougat to manage your stuff, once you update to the new CS Proj, your packages directory can just go away. And it won't be necessary anymore to hang on to it. Which is nice, because that means if you reference a Nougat package on, say, 4 different projects, you only have to download it to your computer once, rather than once per project, which is great. I'm still a little confused. I think what I'm going to do, though, is I think I'm going to cancel this build and shut down Visual Studio. Given that this is an MS build target, I'm just going to assume that I've gotten myself into a very broken state, and we're just gonna relaunch this. And I know I'm about 20 minutes way longer than I normally stream, so I apologize for the length of this video. I just really, really want to see this work. We're so close, because I want to see this these Nougat packages actually work correctly in this branch, so that we can go through and deploy out an update. Come on, shut down. I want to relaunch you, because I don't trust your MS build process right now. Because if we can deploy that update, that means I can let Nougat index it overnight, and then come back and check on it in the morning and start hashing out some of those other issues. And what we may end up doing is I may allow that MAApps demo to be broken for a little bit and still get this merged in, because even with that demo broken, it'll at least let people start playing with this as a preview. But we'll have to see what the other fallout is. Close that, close that. I'm really hoping this is the last change. So I'd love to get this pushed out and a new Nougat package going. Because ultimately what will happen is I'll push out the update to my master branch, which will trigger a CI build out to nougat.org. Once that's out, I'll test it on the material designs demo. If everything looks good, I'll kick out a full release, because this is definitely worthwhile having support for. Go figure yourself out, Visual Studio. I think it's between you and ReSharper wanting to go and all index all the things. You're making this poor little machine chug. Come on. Come on. Let's rebuild this. Let's rebuild this and see where it ends up. This should be, I'm hoping all of these things, I just want to see the scary yellow warning triangles disappear. Or at minimum have my output window not squawk about packages being restored with the wrong framework version. Go ahead and compile. You can figure it out. Whew. Man, I've been going so much I forgot to drink my Mountain Dew. Dang it. No wonder this was harder than it needed to be. Lack of caffeine. Come on. I know. Compiling's hard. You can do it, though. I have faith. So let's see here. So colors project built just fine. Themes project built just fine. Compiling demo. Rebuild failed. Show me the XAML MS build targets was not imported. Oh, so this is probably another problem. So shoot, how are we going to handle this? So as soon as this guy catches up and lets me actually look at my project again, I believe the issue is one of the things that I had thrown into the project was just a check to see if ShowMeTheXaml had actually been run yet, because there's a small but there's a small chance that if you do a fresh clone and just press F5, because Packet restores the Nougat packages on that initial build. The problem being is the ShowMeTheXaml library gets added as part of that restore, which means it doesn't get executed because its targets file wasn't included as part of that. So this guy is now happy. No, he's still unhappy. Dang nabbit. Oh, interesting. So Packet ran and pulled in the wrong ones. Oh, yuck, 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 yuck. The other problem is it's very much looking straight in this hard-coded packages directory. So the error check that it's working on is it's checking to see if the ShowMeTheXaml Nougat package has set this property. So it's basically using the presence of this property set to determine whether ShowMeTheXaml exists. And then it's trying to check for that targets file, but I don't. So I don't think this check is going to be valid anymore. So that's part of the issue, is because now with the new CS Proj, it's going to be restoring from the Nougat cache, not from inside of the project. I don't think we can make that assumption. We'll just use this name as our check. ShowMeTheXaml. Yeah, so that will fix that, and I don't think we need this anymore. Okay, so let's go and deal with the fact that Packet is grabbing. I wonder. So I think let's look this up. I think I can tell Packet. I think I can tell Packet about a different Nougat source. So Packet Nougat source local folder. I think it's just as simple as me specifying it here. Setting up local Nougat feeds. Let's see here. I think it's something akin to this. Testing changes before releasing a new version of a dependent package. Correct. So create a package.local. Not the installer update command. Will only substitute packages with an identical version to the packet lock. Okay. So package dependencies, Nougat, Argu. Let's assume we want to contribute blah, blah, blah. We want to test the changes locally by running packet. So, in the root of our own packet source code copy. So let's see, how does this work? Setting packet of local file argument is build cmd Nougat is triggered on the feature branch. Is built into the bin directory. So I guess I don't need all of this. I just need packages and a path. Got it. So I think what we can do, let's just do a new file here, I guess. Open with code. What do we got here? These folders are empty. I wonder why those showed up. Delete. Guessing perhaps that was testing of some kind. Okay, so let's go here and let's try this real quick. So packet.local. Bring this guy in, and then great. Paste. Okay, so we don't need to trigger this, and we need show me the XAML. Packages are then located in the c:\dev Nougat. And I think I do this for ms build as well. So now on a package restore, it should be intelligent enough to go out and grab the right ones. I hope. We're going to see what happens because there is no versions being specified here. I'm wondering if I need to change these. We will find out. We will find out. Let's just see. So packet version 3. Suppose I could manually go and run the packet restore. Means one override. Oh, so maybe I just need source. Oh, this is probably easier. I did not see a packet output, but let's go back to our VS Code. I've already forgotten the syntax I just look at. So Nougat name, weird lambda, source, folder path. So lambda, source colon folder path. Source colon folder path. And let's go back here. So cd material design and XAML. Let's see. Backslash dot packet. Let's see, what is it? Packet exe restore. Let's just run through this. So I have clearly put this at the wrong directory. So where did it say that this goes? Let's see. We create it in the root of our own packet source code copy. Does that mean it doesn't go here and instead goes in here? That seems weird. Let's try it. That is not right either. Oh, I'm guessing I have named it incorrectly. Yeah, there is not supposed to be a C in that. Okay. Try that one more time. I think doing it out here makes the most sense. Cannot parse line. Cannot parse line. So let's see. So it says in the package dependency. So let's look at our package dependencies. So I think what we do is we do this, and then packet local. Why is this not? Something seems off. Let's see. You can have multiple overrides at once. Source. No colon after source. Okay. Clear that. Clear that. Save. And let's go back here. Try this one more time. Starting restore process. Let's see, something went wrong while downloading ShowMeTheXaml. Feed definition in your packet dependencies file. Uh, 2.0. Oh, nope. 2.0.2. 2.0.2. 2.0.2. Let's try this one more time. Let's see, because it tried to pick up this CI, which I assume it must have been getting out of the packets locked. Why did you still think? Dependencies file. So let's see, what is this? Update, I think, question mark. Well, this very explicitly said that this doesn't override that. Whenever packet restore is run, override the source given after. Let's see here. There was a version conflict during package. Let's see here. Please try to relax some of the conditions. Blah, blah, blah. So, are these all of the dependency file? So it's not restore whenever running. Override the source with the source given after lambda. So why you no happy? Only Git repository are currently supported. I am very tempted to just push this and see what happens, because that might be the path of least resistance, honestly, for me. Which should be used for this override. For source overrides. Yeah, this is problematic. Okay, rather than fighting with this, here's what we're going to do. We're going to just do this. I am going to push ShowMeTheXaml. We will get a preview package out, and then we will continue the work on this branch and see what that goes to. Because at this point, I am already 40 minutes past when I normally stop. And I am tired, and it's getting hard to think. So with that, I am going to sign off. We will do this again more. Hopefully, it won't be too much longer, and we will have .NET Core 3 support inside of Material Design and XAML. So happy coding. Everyone have a good night.